The world is heating up, quite literally. According to NASA, since 1880, the world has risen 1 degree Celsius, which has drastically impacted humans, wildlife, and marine life alike. But especially this has impacted farmers.
And I'm exhausted after 15 years of trying my best to...
It's going to be a damaged fruit that will...
I've abandoned over half the wells on my farm.
Just have to sell what we can.
I can't sleep at night.
We need government action and government policy to make those changes. I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore.
Loss due to global warming is a tremendous threat to our well-being and the well-being of our future. Global warming is harming the soil fertility, soil health, and most importantly, the yield of our crops. As global population continues to grow, especially in equatorial areas that are being hardest hit by climate change, we face an enormous humanitarian crisis as people won't be able to feed themselves and their families. Think about how terrifying it would be if you walked into a grocery store, hungry already, and the shelves were empty, such as this shelf. That would suck. This is the harsh reality of crop loss due to global warming. We must take action so that this is not a reality that we face in the future.
As you can see in this chart from Frontiers Plant Science, you can see that many crops grown around the world are unable to grow, usually past 40 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Fahrenheit, which is very prevalent now due to global warming in the summertime, especially towards the equator or dry areas, which just will cause massive financial impacts to people and the government, as well as massive famines due to there not being enough crops. As you can see in this chart provided by the USDA, you can see that the impacts of global warming on crops goes beyond just farmers. It goes to over 10.4% of the U.S. employment, which is very significant as many people become unemployed due to crop loss. And according to the EPA, agriculture contributed to more than $1.53 trillion to the U.S. GDP in 2023. Matter of fact, the U.S. economy could lose up to $20 billion annually by 2040, according to the Congressional Budget Office, if nothing is done towards this crop loss.
Crop loss is a really huge problem, but there's a lot of solutions. First off, we can use genetic modification or selective breeding to make plants that produce higher yields, but also make sure that they can withstand dry temperatures, especially in droughts with the rising temperatures. Second, we can use irrigation systems like precision and drip irrigation, which are basically lines in the ground that directly give water to the plants and make sure each plant's getting the right amount of water they need. We can also practice soil health and conservation practices like crop covering and crop rotation, which basically mainly focuses on soil health and making sure that it doesn't dry out in droughty conditions. It also prevents erosion and makes sure that plants have a healthy situation to grow in. But these solutions are pretty expensive. Like I mentioned, drip irrigation and precision irrigation are really expensive for farmers, and it gives them a huge financial toll. Roughly 1 in 3 farmers, according to this PIRG, worry about losing their farms, crops, and equipment due to high costs, highlighting the financial strain of the equipment and solutions like I mentioned above. I'm also going to hand it now off to Rai, who's going to talk about how we can support farmers and prevent future crop loss due to global warming.
Alright, thank you, Noah. So, we are talking about government subsidies. So, government subsidies are a great way to combat global warming because many of the equipment and machinery and techniques used to combat global warming on farms are pretty expensive, and many farmers, they just can't afford that. So, one of the best ways is through government subsidies, and many farmers can be reimbursed and given funding to help make up for the costs through what they're going to be putting. And in 2022, the USDA created the crop cover program that gives farmers like funding for cover crops and to also have like a way to make funding for their like disasters that have been impacted on the farm. So one of the best ways is that it helps people be able to afford and combats the climate change. Once farmers get their subsidies, they won't have to worry about the costs, and they'd be able to protect the climate so that it benefits the people and the farmers themselves. So it's a great way instantly to do that. But the real question is, what can you do to help out with government subsidies? There are also other global warming related subsidies that are in Congress right now, such as the carbon-free dividend, so best way is to call your Congress people, write letters to them, ask them to support many subsidies that relate to global warming, and that's the easiest and cheapest way to go help solve this global warming problem. Because without your help, there's nothing that will going to be done.
Please consider taking action regarding crop loss.
Because if we don't do anything about it, all of this right here is going to turn into this right here. Nothing.
Thank you so much again for watching.